Do you really believe everything they told you about the sky is true?
What you're about to hear isn't just theory. It's the kind of story that shakes your faith and makes science sweat. A telescope called Lucifer, yes, that's the name, is aimed at the heavens, tracking something that shouldn't be there. And who's silently overseeing it? None other than the Vatican, the same institution that's dictated spiritual truth for centuries. Coincidence, or a highly orchestrated manipulation? While you're distracted with bills and binge watching, a group of men in robes and lab coats is watching the stars in absolute silence. Not for beauty. They're observing something, waiting for someone, or something to return. And all of this is wrapped in a narrative so subtle that you didn't even notice. Normalize the impossible while locking the truth behind ancient doors. So stop and ask yourself, why would a religious organization need an infrared telescope aimed at the invisible universe? If you think we're alone in this universe, you might already be behind. Because those who already know the truth, they're just deciding when to reveal it and how to control what happens next. Buckle up. This isn't just a story about a telescope. It's about the end of everything you thought was real. Do you really believe everything they told you about the sky is true? What you're about to hear isn't just theory. It's the kind of story that shakes your faith and makes science sweat. A telescope called Lucifer, yes, that's the name, is aimed at the heavens, tracking something that shouldn't be there. And who's silently overseeing it? None other than the Vatican, the same institution that's dictated spiritual truth for centuries. Coincidence, or a highly orchestrated manipulation? While you're distracted with bills and binge watching, a group of men in robes and lab coats is watching the stars in absolute silence, not for beauty. They're observing something, waiting for someone, or something to return. And all of this is wrapped in a narrative so subtle that you didn't even notice. Normalize the impossible while locking the truth behind ancient doors. So stop and ask yourself, why would a religious organization need an infrared telescope aimed at the invisible universe? If you think we're alone in this universe, you might already be behind. Because those who already know the truth, they're just deciding when to reveal it and how to control what happens next. Buckle up. This isn't just a story about a telescope. It's about the end of everything you thought was real. There's a real telescope located on Mount Graham in Arizona that bears a name heavy with symbolism, Lucifer. And no, that name wasn't chosen by chance. Sure, it's an acronym, but who would name such a powerful instrument after the light bringer if there wasn't a message hidden in plain sight? What's even more unsettling, this telescope sits right next to the Vatican Observatory, which has been watching the skies for decades, as if waiting for what? A UFO? An alien? Maybe? But the real mystery lies in their silence. It's not every day you hear of the Catholic Church being involved in astronomical research, and yet they have their own astronomers, high-powered telescopes, and international scientific partnerships. But why the rush to explore the stars? Some theorists claim that the Vatican knows far more about extraterrestrial life than it lets on, and that Lucifer is just the visible tip of a much darker iceberg. An infrared telescope aimed at the invisible? That doesn't sound innocent at all. Picture this. Priests and astronomers huddled around monitors in secrecy, analyzing strange cosmic data, identifying patterns that repeat and defy explanation. Some independent researchers claim Lucifer has already recorded strange movement in distant nebulas, unidentified heat signatures, distorted images pulsing at frequencies unknown. The most disturbing part, none of it is shared with the public. But what if this is just the beginning? Topic 2. The origin of the name Lucifer and the symbolism behind it. The name Lucifer has carried weight for centuries, especially in religious tradition, where it's linked to rebellion, illumination, and the fall of the most brilliant angel. So why assign such a name to a scientific tool? Many say it's just a technical acronym, but between the lines, symbolism speaks volumes. To theorists, this isn't just about light, it's about forbidden knowledge, the kind that was never meant for human eyes. The original acronym stood for a Large Binocular Telescope Near-Infrared Utility with Camera and Integral Field Unit for Extragalactic Research. But here's the thing, the name was quietly changed to LOGSI a few years later. That subtle shift raised even more suspicion. If it was harmless, why rebrand it? Why soften the blow? The symbolism of Lucifer as the light bringer, combined with a tool designed to uncover what's hidden in the dark, it almost feels scripted. In the realm of esoteric thought, Lucifer represents not evil, but knowledge, illumination. So when a telescope bearing that name stares into deep space, searching for UFOs or alien signals, you have to wonder, what kind of knowledge are they hoping to reveal or suppress? Topic 3. The Vatican's involvement in astronomy and the suspicion that they're observing something specific. The Vatican has had its own observatory since 1891. That's over a century of officially watching the sky, but not just out of curiosity. Throughout history, Catholic astronomers have written about intelligent celestial entities long before aliens were a pop culture trope. And when an ancient institution with centuries of access to secret texts starts building world-class observatories, people start asking, what exactly are they expecting to find? This isn't just about stars and planets. Why aim a telescope like Lucifer at specific zones of deep space? Places known for mysterious thermal patterns, strange alignments, and unclassified anomalies. In 2014, an independent report claimed the telescope recorded a repeating infrared signal from a fixed point in space. Could it be a UFO hotspot, an alien base, or something far older? And here's where things get strange. There's rumored to be a secret Vatican division called exotheology, dedicated to studying how the Church would respond to contact with non-human intelligence. Sounds wild until you realize they've already made public statements about baptizing aliens. If that doesn't scream they know, I don't know what does. Topic 4. What the telescope actually captures. Infrared signals and the detection of invisible objects. Unlike ordinary telescopes, Lucifer, or Lucy as it was renamed, operates in a spectrum the human eye can't detect. Deep infrared. This allows it to reveal what's hidden, quite literally. Cosmic dust, cold structures, objects that don't emit visible light but are still moving, watching. And when it comes to UFOs and alien technology, this kind of tool becomes more than science. It borders on supernatural surveillance. Infrared is used by space agencies to detect exoplanets, ancient galaxies, and even black holes. But it also helps spot inexplicable thermal anomalies. Several independent researchers claim that Lucifer has already picked up mobile heat signatures that don't match any known celestial body. Strangely symmetrical shapes, rhythmic pulses. And where are the official images? Nowhere. That silence speaks volumes. Now imagine what could be out there. Cloaked alien ships, floating observatories, or even dimensional rifts that only reveal themselves at certain frequencies. That's what infrared is built for, to see what was never meant to be seen. And if the Vatican chose to invest in such vision, it's because they already knew what to look for. Topic 5. Reports from astronomers and independent researchers about sightings and captured signals. While official channels remain silent, the real noise comes from independent astronomers. Many of them have reported unexplainable phenomena near Mount Graham, the exact location of the Vatican's observatory, and the Lucifer telescope. We're talking about silent geometric objects appearing and vanishing without trace. And these are not wild-eyed amateurs. They're professionals with reputations and data to back them. One former staff member claims that during a routine scan, a pulsing thermal object appeared on screen for 11 seconds, then vanished. No orbit, no trail, just gone. Another backyard astronomer captured a symmetrical structure rotating slowly beyond Earth's atmosphere. What was it doing there? And why always in that same sector of the sky? Stranger still is how these sightings often align with infrared anomalies detected by Lucifer, as if something or someone is testing the limits of our observation. Random or deliberate? The more these reports stack up, the more it feels like a hidden pattern is playing out, and only certain eyes are allowed to see it. Topic 6. Theories about what's being observed. A ship, a signal from another planet, or even a portal. Now we step into the real rabbit hole. Some theorists claim that Lucifer isn't tracking stars or planets. It's watching a massive ship slowly approaching Earth from deep space. Not a meteor, not a satellite. Something intelligent. Some say it's a mothership the size of a city, with architecture too structured to be natural. And guess who's been following its path? Quietly, the Vatican. Another theory goes even deeper. Lucifer has intercepted repetitive signals from a distant planet. And these signals, oddly enough, match numeric patterns found in ancient religious manuscripts. Think about that. A message from space, mirroring sacred texts locked away for centuries. Could the Church be tracking a cosmic echo from something or someone they've already met? Then there's the wildest theory of all. It's not a ship or a message, it's a portal. Some believe the telescope has detected a pulse in space-time itself. A growing tear in the fabric of the universe, a gateway. If that's true, then Lucifer isn't just observing, it's guarding. Topic 7. The silence from religious and scientific authorities and how it fuels the mystery. Have you noticed how the more serious the question, the quieter the answer? Try asking the Vatican about Lucifer's findings and you'll be met with cold stares or polite deflection. No one's talking. And that silence? it only makes the fire burn hotter. Because when leaders stop answering, the people start imagining, and sometimes imagining is closer to the truth than they'd like to admit. If nothing unusual is being seen, why hide the data? Why the secrecy, the classified reports, the encrypted transmissions? And why does a religious institution need a military-grade scientific tool staring into invisible wavelengths? Some claim it's to study God's creation, but others whisper about an ancient return of something that once ruled the skies. Meanwhile, independent researchers report blocked access, corrupted archives, and veiled threats when they get too close. Priests who raise questions about alien life are removed, discredited, or ignored. This isn't ignorance, it's strategy. Because when silence replaces truth, mystery becomes control. Topic 8. The possibility that the telescope is monitoring a return. Something that's been here before. What if Lucifer isn't searching for something new, but tracking something old? Something that's been here before? That idea sends shivers down the spine. Ancient cultures across the globe, from the Sumerians to the Egyptians, recorded visits from beings who descended in chariots of fire with metallic skin and luminous eyes. That doesn't sound like poetry. That sounds like an alien report filtered through myth. Some claim the Vatican has known for years that something is on its way back, and they've been tracing its course through deep space ever since. A cluster of stars, a trajectory, a signal disguised as cosmic noise. Could it be a UFO returning home? Or worse, a banished entity fulfilling an ancient promise? Because whatever's coming has been here before. The concept of return appears in nearly every major belief system. The Mayans spoke of a cosmic cycle. Hindu texts describe ages of destruction and rebirth. Even Revelation speaks of the gates of heaven opening for the watchers to descend. What if those weren't metaphors? What if Lucifer is our lookout tower and the sky is just about to speak? Topic 9. The connection between ancient religious manuscripts and contact with otherworldly beings. If you think ancient religious texts are just about angels and morality, you haven't looked closely enough. The Book of Enoch, apocryphal scrolls, and Sumerian tablets speak of beings from the sky, descending to share forbidden knowledge, mate with humans, and build civilizations. And guess who holds the largest collection of these manuscripts? The Vatican. Some of these texts describe flying machines, soundless crafts, beings with radiant skin, and fiery weapons. To a primitive society, they were gods, but to modernize, they sound like alien visitors. What if the angels of the past were never metaphorical? What if they were misidentified due to the lack of technology to explain what people saw? Now ask yourself this: why would the Vatican lock these texts away? Maybe because they don't contradict their doctrine. They reveal something too big to control. And perhaps those beings promised to return, and the Vatican's been preparing for that moment ever since. Topic 10. Alleged links between the Vatican, space agencies, and secret governments. Not everything that shines in the sky comes from the stars. And it's said that the Vatican knows this too well. Some theorists believe the Church maintains secret partnerships with NASA, the European Space Agency, and even covert branches of global governments. Wild, maybe, but history is filled with quiet alliances between power, knowledge, and belief. Back in the 60s and 70s, during the height of UFO hysteria, there were multiple reports of closed-door meetings between high-ranking Vatican officials and aerospace scientists. According to leaked documents, some images and discoveries from the Moon and Mars were first vetted by the Church before being made public or not. Even today, certain Lucifer data is said to be shared directly with military channels, bypassing traditional academic pathways. Why the secrecy? If nothing is out there, why are the world's most powerful institutions teaming up to keep it quiet? Maybe because the truth doesn't fit into neat boxes. It reshapes the world. Topic 11. The hypothesis that the Church is preparing a theological narrative to accept alien life. Have you noticed how religion is slowly warming up to the idea of extraterrestrial life? It's not an accident. The Vatican has been developing a theological bridge for decades, an explanation that would allow the existence of alien beings without contradicting the Bible. In short, they're getting ready. Statements from Vatican astronomers and theologians have already hinted at this. Some said aliens would be our cosmic brothers. Others said they'd be happy to baptize an alien if it asked. These aren't jokes, they're carefully worded introductions to a controlled disclosure. Because when the skies open, the Church wants to lead the conversation, not chase it. And what better way to maintain control than to present the revelation as part of God's design? A faith adapted to the stars, a doctrine compatible with the cosmos. And in that moment of global shock, who do you think people will look to for answers? Topic 12. The role of Jesuits in astronomy. and the preservation of secret manuscript. The Jesuits aren't just scholars, they're the Church's intellectual elite. They manage the Vatican Observatory and are believed to be guardians of ancient manuscripts that describe things far beyond traditional theology. Some of these texts detail star maps, advanced beings, and objects in the sky that were never meant to be public. Jesuit priests are trained in multiple disciplines: astronomy, linguistics, symbology, theology, and mathematics. They're the kind of minds that can decrypt codes hidden in religious texts, and some say they've already done it. Rumors claim that a select group of Jesuits has unrestricted access to the Vatican's deepest vaults, where secrets from centuries past are locked away. But why them? Because Jesuits are trained to think across layers of reality: symbolic, spiritual, and scientific. They're not just preserving history, they might be decoding a warning. And if they've already read it, maybe what's coming isn't a surprise at all. Topic 13. Recent space signals matching the telescope's area of focus. Fast radio bursts are one of the biggest mysteries in space science today. Sudden flashes of radio waves from deep space that last milliseconds. But some of the most intense ones? They've come from the exact same zones that Lucifer monitors. Again, coincidence or cosmic breadcrumb? In 2020, a particularly strong FRB was traced to a dwarf galaxy. Its signal pattern resembled Morse code, with rhythms that didn't seem natural. Some say it's just noise, others believe it's intentional, maybe even a message. And once again, the Vatican had nothing to say, not a word. As more signals stack up, people are beginning to ask, are we being contacted or warned? Because whatever these bursts are, they're coming from far, far away. But they're hitting the one place where few dare to look. Topic 14. The idea that humanity is being psychologically prepared for a revelation. Look around. Aliens are no longer taboo. They're in our headlines, our entertainment, even in government statements. It's called soft disclosure, preparing the public mind for impact. And it's happening right now. The goal? Make the impossible feel normal before it becomes undeniable. Think about it. For decades, we were told aliens were fantasy. But suddenly, the Pentagon admits they've seen unidentified aerial phenomena. Films like Arrival, Interstellar, and The Fourth Kind aren't just fiction, they're training manuals for the new normal. And while all this happens, the Vatican stays eerily calm, like they've seen the script. Because when the truth lands, literally, there needs to be a system in place to handle the chaos. Religion, science, politics, they'll converge. And those who already control faith may soon control belief itself. Topic 15. What if this is all part of something bigger? A plan linking faith, science, and global control. What if all these elements, Lucifer, the Vatican, deep space monitoring, ancient texts, government silence, are pieces of a much larger plan, a framework to reshape the world using the most powerful forces we know: faith, science, and fear. Imagine a global event, a first contact that doesn't shatter religion but redefines it, a universal narrative introduced by the Church and backed by science. The Vatican would present aliens not as enemies, but as divine extensions, a unifying faith validated by cosmic revelation. Sounds impossible? That's the point. In this new era, miracles become tech, prophecy becomes physics, and what was once sacred becomes strategic. Maybe that's why the telescope was named Lucifer to begin with, because he was the one who brought light. And maybe they've been watching the sky, not out of curiosity, but out of loyalty. So, after all this, do you still believe you're seeing the world clearly? Or are you only seeing what they've allowed you to see? The Vatican, the Lucifer telescope, the space signals, the silence. None of it is random. It's a breadcrumb trail, one you've been walking all along without even noticing. Maybe alien contact isn't a question of if. Maybe it's a script already written. And when that day comes, who will control the narrative? The media? The military? Or the ones who've already looked through the telescope? If this woke something inside you, even just a whisper of doubt, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell, stick around, because in the next videos, we're going even deeper, and the truth might already be here.